It's time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to a special Monday night edition of the Ron and Brian podcast, episode 348 to be exact. Brian, how the hell are you tonight, my friend?
I am so happy, Ron. Happy, filled with gratitude, love, happiness. I am thrilled to be back in this chair, looking at this screen, knowing that you're there looking at me. This is going to be a magical hour. It feels like it's been more than 2 weeks. But how it's been 15 days. So to me, let's just get right into it.
You want to get right into it? You want to get
right into it? Right into it.
How do we get things started around here usually, Brian?
There's only one way.
And that is?
Drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud. Drink of the week.
Proszę.
Drink of the week, drink of the week, drink of the week, drink of the week.
Brian, what did you bring to the table this week?
You know, Ron, one of the things that I've always sat there and admired about you is how you support local brewers. You are all about a 30 square mile radius of your home. That is where you like to spend your money. That's where you support small business. However, not all of us can be like you. You can be a 51%, but I'm a 49. You've got a title belt. I lack a title belt. But one of the things that I have to say where I do feel like I might be a step ahead of you is when it comes to beers, I think international. I go global. And what am I drinking? Well, fans of the show know that I recently spent some time in Copenhagen, Denmark. And for those of us who are in the know, if you know, you know. What are you drinking when you're in Denmark? You're drinking Carlsberg, Danish Pilsner. That's right, Ron, Danish Pilsner. And I'm going to say this from my time in Denmark. You know, when you're ordering at a bar, they don't say, would you like a Carlsberg? They just say, would you like a lager? Would you like a Pilsner? Would you like You're drinking Carlsberg. Look at this fine looking Pilsner. Ron, at Carlsberg, the pursuit of better beer is in their DNA. More than 100 years after their founder, J.C. Jacobson, mastered the art of brewing great Pilsner, they're still looking for ways to improve their beer. This is their perfectly balanced Danish Pilsner. It is wonderfully crisp, refreshing. It's got a full flavor, distinctive hoppy aroma. Beer Advocate does not appreciate it, giving it only a score of 71 with a 5% ABV. This is Carlsberg Pilsner.
All right. Have a sip, although I'm going to imagine you've had a few before in your life. How is it? How did it travel?
So refreshing. And I would like to thank the people at the U.S. Customs at Newark Airport who looked the other way as I was dragging my suitcase through. Definitely heavier than it was on the way in. Multiple international beers were put through. This is a delicious beer, Ron.
Nice. I'm happy for you, my friend.
Good. What did you bring to the table, Ron? What are you drinking?
So, Brian, you know it's one of the best times of the year right now. It's the start of baseball season. And to celebrate that, yes, I'm going local, Brian. I do drink local. Philly's own Evil Genius. There's no crying in baseball. Hazy Mango IPA. This 6%er is a natural mango flavor with a wicked curveball. Hazy and refreshing, this beer knocks it out of the park with a hefty dose of dry hops and natural mango flavor. You could say it's in a league of its own.
Oh, that was terrible.
So that's hazy right there. Look at that.
Oh.
It's got a bit of a haze to it. Let's take a sip.
It's most definitely hazy.
Yeah, not a
Oh,
fan. Not gonna lie. It's not a pleasant taste.
take me through. What is the flavor profile? What are you tasting? Walk me through this.
There is the beer, and I don't think I've had it that long. The beer is leaning towards flat, not a lot of carbonation there. Getting the hop flavor, not getting a good mango taste. I mean, I'll drink it because that's part of the rules here on Drink of the
Sure.
Week. But it is not one of my favorite Evil Genius beers, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is. It is what it
Sometimes,
is.
Ron, that's the price you pay when you stick local.
That is true. Sometimes they're not always good. Well, Brian, you wanted to get into this show. You wanted to keep it rolling, and that means it's time for Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
All right, Brian, what's bothering you this week, my friend?
Ron, have you ever had a moment where somebody uses a terminology, say perhaps like a risque term, maybe a little spicy term, something that maybe we would talk about during our After Dark over on Patreon? Somebody uses a terminology incorrectly.
Okay.
And because you are in front of people that you do not want to expose to the depths of your depravity, you are forced to keep your mouth shut and let the moment go
Just kinda
without
pass.
correcting them. Yes.
Okay.
Give you an example.
Please.
Happened to me earlier this weekend, and I was filled with rage while at the same time not wanting to expose myself. But I'm going to expose myself right here because we're amongst friends. Okay,
I
we're
thought you
amongst.
normally just expose yourself on the After Dark.
No, not anymore. I can't expose
right.
myself anymore. Not after new administration, and I'm not allowed to do that. FCC's really cut down on podcasts. All right.
Yeah, true.
I was at a comedy show this past Saturday at Radio City Music Hall. I saw Mateo Lane. Are you familiar with him?
No, not at all.
Okay. My sister went with my sister and McQueen.
Okay.
So my sister is a huge fan of Mateo Lane. He is a very popular New York-based, originally from Chicago, and I believe he enjoys the company of men.
Okay.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, just who he enjoys the company of. So,
Right.
so one of the openers gets up there and starts talking, and then uses the phrase or uses the term snowball in that kind of reference. It
Right.
wasn't
I
just-
understand.
We were not talking about going out in December as a child and grabbing snow with your
Nope.
mittens and forming them into a ball. They were talking about snowballing. So my queen looks at me. God bless that woman. She's been spoiled the way that my brain was. She goes, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" So then I immediately just sit there and go,
It's not for you. You don't want this knowledge rattling around in your head.
"Correct." So I was just like, I'm not, no. I was just like, if they tell you, then we're.
Can I also just say real quick? I know my in-laws
Sure.
probably are listening. Please do not Google this also. But go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna tell you how they described it,
All right.
and how I believe they're wrong. And you tell me, you might be the judge on this one.
All
But
right.
this genuinely was my beef of the week, because so they said it's when a man finishes inside the mouth of another person, and then that
Okay.
person turns around and spits it back into their mouth.
I
You're right. You are right, Ron. They've started the sentence, but they're missing out on
yeah.
the second part of it, which is where the terminology comes from.
I believe the fluids are exchanged via a kiss, if I know the definition correctly.
It could be a kiss, but the whole point is that it goes back and forth, because mixing with all the saliva, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, hence the snowball effect. So You're right, Janelle, great reference. This was mentioned in Clerks, but he leaves out the whole reference to the back and forth. And I wanted to correct it. Wanted to correct it. I
Right.
wanted to tell my lady, I wanted to lean over to my lady and be like, yeah, he's wrong. He's leaving out the part where the lady spits it back in the guy's mouth, and then he spits it back into her, and then so on and so on for like a couple, like 3 minutes until it's just this guy just globby mess that's just sliding all over their chins. I wanted to say it, and I couldn't, and it drove me wild. I couldn't enjoy the rest of the show because I just could not let that
You wanted
incorrect
to bring
information
that
go by.
knowledge to the people, and yet you felt that would end the evening right then and there.
Absolutely, I had to just keep my mouth shut, and it's 48 hours later, still bothering me.
Well, I can certainly understand where you're coming from, my friend.
Ron, what's bothering you? And hopefully you have something a little bit more meatier than me.
I mean, it's a beef that I've had before, but it is something that I experienced again, and it just put me into such a rage. And that is people who bring their young children to breweries and then don't supervise them.
Yeah.
I have no issue with kids being there, but so we were down Friday night. We went down to our good friends at Cheshire Brewing because we can, we can walk down there from the house to watch the Phillies game. It was game 1 of the Phillies-Dodgers series.
Sure.
And we walk in, and I don't know. I think there must have been some sort of planned party, a group that was there because people had name tags on, everything else. But I shit you not, there had to be between 15 to 20 kids in there. Probably ages 3 to 6. No one really that old. And their parents are just allowing them to just run batshit all over the entire place. Again, fine that the kids are there, but the society is not your babysitter.
Correct.
Like, keep your kids wrangled. Like, we're sitting there and my queen and I are trying to have a conversation, but we can't because of 3 little crotch goblins that have gathered behind our chairs and decided that screaming at the top of their lungs is an appropriate way to play.
Yeah.
Just drove me crazy. And then on top of it, can I double down on another beef of the week, Brian?
Go. You are the champion.
We were not able to watch the Phillies game because normally the games are televised on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Now, Major League Baseball, because they're not making enough money, signs a deal with Apple TV. So then now Friday Night Baseball is on Apple TV, and Cheshire didn't have Apple TV on their smart TV. So they could not then show the game. But it seems like, I mean, you see it in the NFL where, like, what? Thursday Night Football is on Amazon Prime. You've got games on Peacock. Now we've got MLB. Like, it just seems like, I don't know. It seems like you're going to need like 20 streaming services just to be able to watch an entire season of your favorite sports.
It's like pretty soon people are going to start clamoring for one place, one bill, just cover all these streaming services. And we'll be right back to when we had cable.
If there was only a way that we could have like a number of channels and just pay one bill.
Sure. I mean, it makes so much sense.
Anyway,
Ron,
but the kids were just driving me crazy.
Listen, I think that, as somebody who, who is a champion, I believe you should have been able to walk in there and just tell the kids to leave.
Next time I will, my friend.
At any point, did you consider calling the police saying you saw a small child drinking alcohol?
You know what? I don't want to get the good folks at Cheshire in trouble.
Okay.
So maybe I should have called the police and said, there's some parents doing 8 balls on the picnic tables in the area. Maybe that would have done it.
That's not a bad one.
No, not at all. So what else do we got this week, Brian? What do we want? I mean, we've got so many stories to get to. I think let's start off because you said how happy you were at the top of the show. I know I am happy now because you and we were worried that we might have to retire at a young age. But thankfully, due to the tariffs and the accompanying plunge in the stock market and our 401ks, we're guaranteed to have to work another 10, 12, 15 years at this point.
Ron, your dreams of retiring and enjoying your private pool in your backyard just got pushed 3 years back, possibly more. Stock market is down what this week? We'll say in the past five
It was
trading days, probably about 10%. Or can we agree?
more than that. I would say it's probably getting around 15%, 13 to 15% at this point.
When Donald Trump announces that today is going to be Liberation Day, little did people know he was talking about liberating them from their life savings. This was all about what was termed reciprocal tariffs that he then enacted on every country on the planet. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I did see that the only two countries he did not enact tariffs on was North Korea, because I believe we have zero trade with them, and then
Correct.
also Russia. But
You would also be correct.
Don't we have some trade with them?
Yes, we do.
So apparently we can't go after Papa Putin, but we can go after all of our, like, clearly in a Donald Trump world, nobody is an ally.
Well,
Everybody is an enemy.
The one good thing, he finally, after so many administrations have hid their head in the sand, went after the fucking penguins. That's right. We put a 10% tariff on Heard and McDonald Islands, which have no human inhabitants, but they've got a shit ton of penguins. Let me tell you, Brian, penguin-themed movies have collected $2.1 billion in revenue over the years. How much have we as a country seen of that? Fuck them penguins, Brian.
Nothing. Fuck them.
And as most economists have pointed out over the past week, like the math that they did in trying to determine these tariffs, absolutely ridiculous. Just divided like the trade deficit by some random numbers.
The Department of Agriculture, which oversees a lot of trade, immediately said we had nothing to do with this. And those are people that are Trump allies. From what I've read, business leaders across the globe have already started to separate themselves from Trump. They've already announced that these tariffs are absolutely paralyzing to the global economy. It's pushing the United States into a recession. And if there's anything that has brought me some level of enjoyment is the TikToks that I have seen over the past couple of days of just people that look like they're from Iowa, guys, beards, checkered shirts, some kind of cowboy hat, being like, everybody else is playing checkers. Donald Trump is playing 4D chess. He can't stop winning. And then they go like this.
The game
smugly.
The game plan apparently is that Donald Trump is single-handedly destroying the American economy, which will force the Fed to lower interest rates, which will then in turn allow Americans to afford the American dream once again.
Run that by me again?
Sorry, you have a working brain, so it may not kind of click.
How is this going to? Walk me through this.
He is making the economy tank. He is starting a recession or a depression, and the only solution to that will be to force the Fed to cut interest rates more than they have been recently, which in turn will bring like mortgage rates down, loan rates, and that will allow your average American to be able to afford the American dream again.
But prices will only go up when interest rates go down.
Brian, you are playing tiddlywinks while Donald plays golf.
Okay. I can't explain this. It makes no sense to me. Like there's no, I just don't understand it. I would understand if he goes out with tariffs with a couple countries. Being like, you guys have, absolutely taken advantage of the United States. Those days are over. But to go after the European Union, to go after England, you go after countries that have supported us and been with us for all these years. It just doesn't. It literally is just. It's almost just like he jumped in a public pool and then took a massive diarrhea dump just to get everybody out of the pool, so he could be like, "All right, now it's my pool. Nobody else gets to play in my pool except all the water is shitty."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would argue, or most people would not argue, that there are definitely some trade imbalances out there. There is currency manipulation going on. There are certain, countries tariffing us, but to just blanket across the board. Although I think my favorite reciprocal tariff was apparently China increased its tariffs against the United States to 34%. Which people are assuming is in reference to the 34 felonies that Donald Trump was convicted of. So while I hate watching our economy and our world crash and burn, I still love the pettiness. I don't know why.
But where's the pettiness here? He just did it across the board. There is no
No,
pettiness.
I'm talking China specifically picking a number.
If that's true. If that's true. We'll see. I would be surprised at that. But what I did love was, I think it was Peter Navarro, who was our trade ambassador.
I don't know what role he serves.
He's one of the trade guys in the administration, and I think he was a pullover from the first administration.
Yeah,
he was interviewed by, I think it was NBC News Friday morning, and in an interview, he basically said that he strongly urges other countries not to retaliate with any tariffs, that they should just take this. And I'm
Is
like,
this the same guy who was also being accused of inventing an expert for his books?
Of course.
Have you heard that story?
No, I haven't.
All right.
What is this again?
So Peter Navarro writes a lot of books about the economy and articles and everything else. So he consistently refers to an expert by the name of Ron Vara, V-A-R-A. And so people have realized that they've not been able to locate who this individual is. And then someone else picked up on the fact that Ron Vara is an anagram of Navarro.
So in his article, he goes, well-known economist.
Yeah, don't listen to me. Listen to well-known economist Ron Vara.
No. Oh, that's fucking pathetic.
So I think we need to come up with some names, anagrams of our names, and come up with some fake experts to quote.
Well, I think we can definitely do that with your last name.
Possibly, very possibly.
A-L.
Al Leb. I mean, if you remember Al Leb from our college days.
Sure. He was the #1 Jewish basketball star in our league. Al Leb. I mean, he was short for Levenstein, but everybody just called him Al Leb.
But it's just amazing to me how many people on the right are like, no, crashing the economy is a good thing. Tommy Tuberville a few weeks ago, that stock market was too high. It's time to bring the stock market back down.
This is the same Tuberville that was doing insider trading for the past 8 years.
Right.
Fuck, we are so fucked. We are so fucked. And also keep in mind, we will survive. We've been through worse. Don't be fatalistic. Don't be fatalistic. We will survive.
I'm not being fatalistic as far as our species surviving, but do we as not just a country, as a world, do we come back from this?
Of course we come back.
No, I'm saying do we heal the political division? Do we heal the class division? Do we heal the age division? Like, it's just I don't know.
Right off the bat,
than I've been.
Oh, I mean, the damage that has been done in a short period of time. I mean, it's not even the short period of time, but if you look at it over the past, I'm going to say 12, 15 years. I mean, the fact that the United States can no longer be looked at as a leader of the free world. We used to have that under Reagan, under Bush, under Clinton, under Obama? No, under Bush and then Obama. Like, we were looked to. Now, if you're in Central America and you're looking for a reliable partner for the next 50 years, how on earth could you look at the United States and be like, this is where I'm going to make a long-term deal, when you realize how in such a short period of time this country can elect such radically opposing leaders who will absolutely turn their back on previous agreements.
I mean, I think my longer term concern is, if you look at, the current the youngest generation. What is that? Gen A? Is that what they're calling them?
A for anal?
I don't know. But think about, you've got a generation of kids who are already lagging in education because of the pandemic.
Correct.
That's already been documented. Now you're dismantling the Department of Education. You've got states like Florida that, because of the lack of workers, are now allowing kids as young as 14 to work 40 hours a week or work overnight shifts. You're talking about household income dropping. You're talking about prices going up. So, food inequality, housing inequality, those things are just going to continue to get worse. And again, how does, if you are middle class or lower, how do you overcome that in the next 20 to 25 years?
I don't know that you can. And I know you want me to yes and you, but I just think, but we will survive. We will be okay.
All right,
We'll just all, like Janelle says, maybe we just all move to Florida.
Just move to Florida.
There.
Before we get too deep into the episode, Brian, that we love ourselves some stories of the week. We like to make sure that we grab a couple of stories and we make sure we share them with the people. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Ron, have you ever texted a video of yourself, satisfying yourself to the wrong person?
I can't say I've done that to the right person.
I don't. You know what? I think you're right. I don't think that I can say that either. Okay, so for this story, we go to a very small town called Minot, North Dakota, where you have a photo of Tom Ross, not to be confused with Marion Ross, star of Joni Loves Chachi. What was that show, Marion Ross? Come on.
Joni Loves Chachi. Happy Days?
Yeah, but what was the Happy Days? That's it. Marion Ross. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at a photo of Tom Ross. He promptly resigned last week after texting a city attorney a video of himself masturbating on his lunch break, which he claims was sent accidentally. The now former mayor pulled himself out of the... See, that's where you got to love the New York Post, because right off the bat, they threw in the former mayor, Tom Ross, pulled himself out of office Wednesday after a short sexual harassment investigation into a lewd video he sent to a female city attorney in January. Quote from Mr. Ross, former mayor: "I do take responsibility for this mistake. I tried to immediately correct it and was unable. This decision I made falls in line with all of my work on behalf of the city of Minot. I put my heart and soul and penis into the community."
Well, do you know how he tried to correct it?
How?
He tried to apologize to the attorney and say, "Hey, just don't tell anybody about this."
Oh, that's fine. That
was how he decided to correct it.
What do you mean? She told the city attorney, Stephanie Stahlheim, told investigators she had spoken to Ross about a police officer's suicide just minutes before she received the video of the mayor, quote unquote, and this is the Post, going to town on himself. He tried to put the Jack back in the butt. Jesus, the euphemisms in this article just, suddenly remind me it's going to be okay, Ron. I don't really care what's going on in the world today. The New York Post is going to keep me sane. He explained to Stahlheim that he had recorded the sexy video for his girlfriend on his lunch break, requested the attorney delete the smut and keep the entire incident between the two of them. Unfortunately, she went to and filed an official complaint, and now he's resigned. Ron, if you're going to take a video of yourself pleasuring yourself,
sure.
Just don't text it to someone. Just keep it on your phone and then just show them the next time you see them.
Yeah, or maybe put it on like a Google Drive, and maybe share the link, because then you can always delete it. Like, you're not giving them the physical evidence to use against you.
But then Google has a copy of it.
Well, I mean, don't they already? Probably. I mean,
yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Good one.
Google
He does
probably
kinda
has
look
more. I'm sure if more people knew the information that Google had on them, they would probably they'd probably be very, very concerned.
you do realize how many dick pics that Google Drive does have, like, over the history of time. Frightening.
Yeah.
Ron, what story piqued your interest this week?
So my story, as we have often said, New Jersey is kind of it's kind of a garbage state, but you have decided to move there nonetheless. So this past week or so ago in Englishtown, New Jersey, Mayor Daniel Francisco mixed things up a bit by nominating John Aliti, an ex-Cambino crime family enforcer, to a vacant council seat. Francisco, a Republican, swore in the confessed hitman on March 12th after his 14-year prison stint for racketeering murders, at least 6 by John's own tally, and enough shootings and beatdowns to really fill up a resume. The mayor touted Aliti's, quote, vast experience in outreach work, apparently unfazed by the fact that this guy once dumped a body near Flushing Meadows.
So this guy actually is a killer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Ugh, that's weird.
So,
Yeah, I might.
so the mayor had to push it through with the council vote. He broke the tie himself after half the council bailed in protest, claims that he was turning the borough into his own personal fiefdom staffed with yes-men. Alite, meanwhile, waived his measly $3,500 salary and promised to fix potholes and keep kids off drugs.
Wow. Okay. Geez. I don't even have anything to say. I mean, that's just fucking scary. I mean, he did his time? He did his time.
He did 14 years in prison, yes. And
Gets out.
He gets out and he gets appointed by the mayor. So he'll be in this role till at least 2027 when that particular seat will be up for actual election again.
My God, that's frightening.
A little bit. Defend your state, Brian.
Oh, Jersey is trash. I can't defend it. Jersey is just definitely trash. Like, doesn't he have to be nominated? Isn't there isn't there an election?
So apparently this was a seat that had been vacated. And so it was up to the mayor to appoint a replacement. So not normally, yes, it is an elected seat. In this case, not until 2027.
Fucking hell. Okay, I got nothing on this. This is just scary.
I mean, he is claimed to have shot between 30 and 40 people, beaten about 100 people with a baseball bat, and killed at least 7. Among his confirmed crimes was the 1988 murder of cocaine dealer George Grasso, who he lured to a Queens tavern and shot him 3 times in the head, dumping the body near Flushing Meadows. Another notable killing was that of Bruce John Goddard in 1991, executed as retribution for stealing from Gambino associates.
Ugh. Boy, this is awkward. I mean, I rarely am I in a position where I cannot defend this great state of New Jersey, and I feel like I'm in one of those right now.
It's problematic. But listen, maybe you run for that seat in 2027. I know you've dipped your toe into the political waters recently with your condo board. Maybe by 2027, you're ready to take that step up to councilman.
I think I might be. God, that does sound fascinating. I like that idea.
Speaking of the civic process, Brian, can we talk about my day at jury duty today?
Yes. Let's hear about it. Now, normally, one of the things I like about you,
right,
is that you're not necessarily an open book. Is that you do play things close to the vest. You do.
I do.
You do not sit there and send an email out to everyone on Sunday night being like, "Hey, gang, this is what I'm doing this week." So much to my glee this morning when I woke up to the group text and saw you commenting that you were going to serve jury duty today.
Yes.
In what, Delaware County?
Montgomery County. So a few weeks back, and I forget who it was, I was having a conversation with somebody at work because they had just had to do jury duty. And I said the phrase that obviously jinxed me. I was like, you know what? I haven't been called for jury duty in like 10 plus years. So sure enough, like a week later, I get the notice in the mail, like, hey, you've been chosen potentially for jury duty on April 7th. Call us the afternoon before. We'll let you know if you have to show up. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess, roll the dice. Maybe I won't get picked. Well, I called yesterday and they were like, oh, you got to show up, my friend. So 8 a.m., here I am trudging into the Montgomery County Courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Few hundred of us that they put into the jury marshalling room, they call it. So we got to scan in, we got to, take an oath. A judge comes and talks to us. So they say, all right, there is a civil trial and there is a criminal trial. So we need to seat a jury for both of those. Now, in the letter, they're like, these trials probably take a day, maybe two. All right, not a problem. So we're sitting there and they're like, all right, this is the civil trial. They start calling numbers out to go up. They're like, we have 65 people that we're bringing up to try and seat 12 jurors and 2 alternates. Sure enough, my number gets called as one of those 65 people. I was number 49.
Really?
Brian. Yeah. So we go up and they give us like a little breakdown of the case. It's a woman who she's suing PNC Bank because she had a second mortgage with PNC Bank that apparently had a balloon payment attached to it, that when it ballooned, she obviously wasn't able to pay, and they foreclosed on her house. So, all right. So they start asking
Where's the
all
lawsuit
these questions
there?
So she is saying that they did not follow their contract. There was a whole bunch of legal stuff as to why she was suing them. We didn't get into the meat of the case at that point.
Got it.
So they start saying like, hey, do any of you people, have you ever worked with or done business with, PNC Bank or all their subsidiaries? So thankfully, I have done business with PNC Bank professionally and personally. And then there's also a mortgage company by the name of Mr. Cooper that I've had like 2 mortgages with. So I was like, they were like, so do you think this might sway your opinion? So of course I'm like, because they say when we get in there, oh, this trial should last 3 to 4 days. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 days to listen to a fucking mortgage agreement? No. So then they go through the process of calling everybody who said they might have an issue back. So finally they get to me and I go back there, and it's very intimidating because you're in this very small room with both sets of attorneys, the judge and like the judge reporter. And so the judge is like, so, you said you know PNC Bank. And so I went through how, professionally, we've done loans with them, we've done business with them and all that. I'm like, and they've been very good to work with. So I would tend to believe them. Yeah. And so the plaintiff, the woman, her attorneys are like, yeah, we'd like to get rid of this guy. And of course, in the meantime, the PNC Bank guys are like, well, let's wait a minute. They're like, you mean to tell us that even if the judge instructed you to follow the letter of the law, you would have an issue? And I was like, I'm like, how do I play this one? I'm like, to be perfectly honest, I'm like, I'm already starting on your side, so it's going to be up to these guys to move me over. And the judge was like, all right, you can go now.
Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah, thank you. Which is true. Like, I mean, you've had a few mortgage closings, correct?
Sure.
I've had a few mortgage closings. Like, they're very, like, they go through every single blessed thing. So to not be aware of a balloon payment just seems like, I don't know. Like, if it was Wells Fargo, I'd be like, all right, Wells Fargo, they're guilty. But like PNC, I haven't had an issue with.
Well, I also feel like if whoever is your mortgage broker if they're not, their job is to disclose the terms of these things.
Sure. I forget
actually read the fucking document.
I forget the comedian that said it, so I can't give them credit. But I remember someone saying at one point, the problem with the jury system is that do you really want your fate decided by 12 people that aren't smart enough to get out of jury duty? Yeah, and of course. That's the absolute truth, because I'm sitting there because we had to sit for a very long time. And there's a group of people sitting behind me, and they're talking about just the little bit of information that they've had in the case. And there's this one guy who's like, well, I was on a jury, and this woman, she got rear-ended. She wanted 100,000. I didn't want to give her anything, but we ended up giving her 10,000. But they start like hypothesizing about the case, and they're completely wrong. They're like, well, maybe PNC Bank has a good reason for suing her. She's suing them. He's
right.
Yeah, no. But my favorite thing this guy said was, if you've got an issue paying your mortgage, all you got to do is reach out and talk to your bank, and they're happy to work with you.
We are so undereducated in this. We are so undereducated in this country. We are so undereducated. It's frightening. It's frightening.
And yes, your bank always does say, hey, if you're going to have an issue making payments, please reach out to us. But they just as soon foreclose on you than give you an extension on your mortgage payments.
Well, especially in a type of loan where they are giving you a wildly low interest rate and under the assumption that you're going to hit a balloon payment where they're going to really make their money back at that point. And if you don't have it, fuck it, they'll take the house. Were you able to get the address of the house? Is there any chance you can go there and firebomb it? Just firebomb the house, throw a Molotov cocktail through the living room window just to make sure that the bank gets the property.
Well, and I swear to God, one of the people behind me was like, it wouldn't be too bad to be on the jury because then you get the address of the house and then I bet you can buy it cheap from the bank. Now, thankfully, none of them ended up on the jury either. At the end of the day, like, they managed to seat the jury with like within the first 35 people that they had pulled in. But it was just, what a waste of a day. And you want to know how much I get paid for sitting around all day for jury duty?
$28.
$9.
Ooh.
Oh, and I got free parking in the garage near the courthouse.
Yeah, but did you use the parking spot that your wife's still paying for?
Hey, she stopped paying for that many years ago.
I know.
Like, $9 barely covers the tolls going there and back.
It's not even going to cover lunch.
Yeah, it didn't.
So the question is, did you get offered or considered for the criminal case?
They did not, because they had already started to seat that jury from the remaining people that had been called that day. So I basically sat around and just waited for, I don't even know what we were waiting around for.
To see if there was anybody else that backed out or whatnot.
Maybe. Yes, Janelle, we only got $9 for the day, which they said if we wanted to donate to charity, and everything's paper. Nothing is electronic in this day and age. Like, if you wanted to donate that $9, there was a whole form you had to fill out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that $9.
What did you do with the $9? Let's hear about it.
Oh, no, I haven't gotten it yet. I'll get a check. I'll get a check in the mail in 3 weeks.
They didn't even give you the money. They're going to mail you a check for $9. So right off the bat, that's going to take 69 cents right there, because isn't that the price of a stamp?
I think 70 cents now.
Oh, they're up to 70?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, I've been using the postage machine in the office for years now.
But the good thing is I've got like 2+ years now, because for the rest of this year and 2 more calendar years, I won't be called for jury duty. I'll admit, I usually just throw those letters out. I just throw them right out as soon as I get them.
When I was in Brooklyn, I got a letter, throw it out, letter, throw it out, letter, throw it out. Then I got a letter in blue, threw that out. Got another letter in blue, threw that out. Finally, I got a letter all in red ink telling me that I had to show up to a courthouse at a day and time. And I was like, all right, I pushed it too far. I'll show up. And I showed up. And they didn't need me, so I went home at the end of the day.
I was going to say, because it said on the letter that if you don't show up, that you face, what was it, like fines of no more than $500, but like a few days in jail too.
This is the problem, Ron. They cannot prove that you ever received that notice. Like, if it's
true.
a Federal Express that you sign for, or a UPS that your wife signs for, or a DHL that your downstairs neighbor Dieter signs for, like, then you can say, okay, yes. We do acknowledge receipt of this. Something in the mail, you can just sit there and go, nope, sorry, I never received that. I don't get
Don't recall getting that at all.
You know, my mailman threw a move on me, and I said no, and he throws out most of my mail. Like, they can't prove otherwise.
I am interested. I mean, I really do wish I could have at least, heard a little bit more of the story, but maybe I'll check the news.
Check the news.
I did my civic duty, Brian.
You showed up. You
I
showed up. Now, who?
Showed up.
PNC Bank. I don't even think of them as a retail mortgage company.
Yeah. So, I mean, the mortgage was handled through Mr. Cooper. So I guess maybe they were the mortgage agent.
Servicer.
Servicer. Yeah, I don't know.
By the way, Mr. Cooper is the worst. By the way, I've got them now. Just the worst.
Really? I have not had issues with them.
Ron, I've had my escrow dollar amount changed 4 times in a year and a half.
Ooh, all right. Well, that's not good.
When I first moved in, they gave me a $6,000 check and told me that my escrow was $50 a month.
That seems low.
I am now paying $2,000 a month in escrow to make up for the underpayments. Like, they just cannot get a monthly, okay, this is what you owe, and then like this is standard. So like every couple of months they do an escrow analysis, and somehow my escrow always goes up. It's ridiculous.
Listen, I have heard when you are buying property in excess of $1 million, the escrow can be very difficult to calculate. So maybe just spend a little less next time.
I don't want to disclose how much the ivory tower dwelling did cost us. However, I will say that they do refer to this area as the New Jersey Gold Coast.
I can see why. Well, so Brian, Saturday night wasn't the only night you went to see a comedian. I understand you were out Friday night as well.
Friday night, I went to see somebody who was in the Northeast area and ended up in the Philadelphia area on Sunday. You and I saw a comedian that separately this past weekend, you and I had seen together almost 3 years ago, by the name of Daniel Tosh, star of Tosh
Point oh.
Why did I just blank on the name of the title?
I don't know.
I saw him at the Beacon Theater on New York's Upper East Side. You saw him at the
Met Theater down on Broad Street in Philadelphia.
Broad Street,
Philly, if you will, by Temple University.
Ooh, it's a very short ride for you.
It's about a half hour, actually.
You said that you're about a 5-minute drive from Temple, right next to the check cashing store.
A Jewish temple, I believe you may have that confused with.
Right. What were your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. Again, some of the material was the same as when we saw him in Vegas a few years back, but I find him to be hilarious.
I do. I was disappointed how much material I was familiar with. However, I do absolutely enjoy the character he plays, or the shtick that he goes with, which is just somebody who just has enough money that just doesn't give a shit anymore, and is not trying to please or make anybody happy anymore. And he can just sit there and tell it the way the way he sees it. Laughed. I found myself laughing throughout the hour. I even liked his opener.
Opener was good. I will say the one thing that I always amazes me when you get an opener and you get a very famous headliner. Like, the opener was good, and then like Tosh comes out and his whole routine is just so smooth that you see the difference in talent level. Like the jokes, the first guy had some good jokes, but he definitely took a while to get the crowd engaged. Whereas right off the bat, Tosh just like hits the ground running, and it was a good hour, 15 hour, 20 minutes of just solid performance.
But what you also see, and you mentioned, you just brought it up, and I think you nailed it in terms of watching comedians at different levels, is the transition from one joke to the next, from one bit of material into the next. Where an opener will sit there and go, all right, okay, all right, where are we going to go? Okay, and then they'll just start talking. Whereas Tosh does not take a break And yet the different bits and the different chunks of material flow naturally into each other in a way that you're not necessarily very cognizant that he is shifting course.
Right. His segues are like butter.
Yeah, very much so. Ron, may I ask you a question?
Of course you may.
What are you watching?
Oh, there's been a lot that I've been watching. We finished Paradise on Hulu, which I believe is actually going to be on ABC now. They're going to start airing those episodes. Very good. I think I've talked about it before. Excellent show. The ending, again, they left it open to do a second season. The ending was a little disappointing, but overall a solid show. Started watching the Netflix docuseries on the Gilgo Beach serial killer.
Have you finished it or no?
I haven't. I only watched the first episode. It's a little slow.
We watched all 3 episodes.
I'll get back into it. What else did we watch? Oh, and we finished just tonight. We finished the latest season of White Lotus.
What did you think of it?
Not my favorite season. I felt like it was choppy. And I will say I was disappointed in the ending of the season. Like the theme of the series is that, karma always comes around on everybody. But I feel like karma was very limited as to who it came around on.
Yeah. I felt that this season had the least number of relatable and likable characters, to the point where 3-4 episodes into the season, I was sitting there saying, I struggled to find myself interested in the storylines of the characters. I think one of the few storylines that I was interested in was the Wall Street trader guy, the father of the family, who was, as soon as he gets to the island, he's contacted by his business partner saying that the FBI is investigating his fund for fraud. And then immediately he has to give away his phone. And then the rest of the season is just him, getting loaded on alcohol and pills.
And contemplating killing himself and his family.
Who hasn't? But I just felt like there were so many characters. Like, I feel like also more this season than on here, there's so many loose ends, so many questions that left, which is, why did they do this if they weren't going to follow through with anything?
Right.
The robbery, and I guess spoiler alert. Oh, you got to get that nonsense out of the way. The point of the robbery and the guard recognizing the 3 robbers, that goes nowhere.
Yeah, no resolution there.
None whatsoever. The 3 women who are all, the one woman is cheating on her husband, the other one's also cheating, I believe. No reconciliation. Like, it just seems to be like they just started it. Question marks. The Walton Goggins, who I think is brilliant this season.
Awesome.
Great. He pushes over the owner of a hotel and then goes back to the hotel and casually has breakfast the next day.
Right. Like, he didn't think, again, there was a lot of holes in the plot, a lot of storylines left that weren't wrapped up. But Sam Rockwell, and we were talking about this before the podcast, just an amazing cameo.
Sure.
And I asked you this question to name me a bad Sam Rockwell performance, and I don't know that there is one out there.
Okay, what about Napoleon Dynamite, the TV series? Cowboys and Aliens. What about Pete Smalls is Dead?
I liked Cowboys and Aliens. I mean,
what about Gentlemen Broncos? What about G-Force, the video game?
Have you seen these movies, Brian? Would be my question.
None. No. What about Woman in Burqa? I will say he was good in the assassination of Jesse James by that coward Robert Ford. He's a very good actor. He's an outstanding
actor. Did you ever see that sci-fi movie Moon?
No.
So it is, again, it's a slow burn. Spoiler alert, you find out that, he is a clone that just keeps getting reborn to, like, maintain this Earth colony on the moon.
Okay.
And what was we were talking about this too? What was the movie where he played Chuck Barris?
That was something of a dangerous mind.
Oh
Hold
yeah,
on.
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
There you go.
Outstanding movie.
Very good movie. Yes.
Outstanding movie. And like I said, I'm not talking out of school. He makes that entire movie.
Yeah.
He was in Jojo Rabbit. I don't remember him in Jojo Rabbit.
I don't remember Jojo Rabbit.
You don't remember Jojo Rabbit? Oh, that was a depressing movie. That was
What was the
I
plot
can't
of that
remember the
one?
director. What's that?
What was the plot of that one?
So that is it is a story about a young German boy as part of the Hitler Youth who has Hitler as an imaginary friend.
Jesus. That's
It's
strange.
Scarlett Johansson's in it. Taika Waititi, I'm sure I'm butchering that name, directed it. It's a roller coaster of a movie, without a doubt.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
we'll
and you
take
and
it.
and on your recommendation, we started watching Dope Thief on Apple TV.
And
I like it so far. I will tell you, here's my challenge with it, and we're going to give away a little part of the story. But so the premise of it is you've got these two guys that are robbers. They
rob
pose
drug
as
dealers.
They rob drug dealers posing as DEA agents.
Sure.
And then they go out to the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania to rob a house, and it turns up like, upending their entire lives. Here is my only gripe with the series so far is that the bad guys apparently, weren't smart enough to keep their house a secret. They weren't smart enough to protect the house. They allowed it to get robbed and blown up and everything else. But then they turn around and they're smart enough to know where everybody all of a sudden lives, where their parents live,
Sure.
where their cousins live. And I get it. You got to push the story forward, but it that part feels a little forced. But overall, I am enjoying it.
What I like most about it is I think it really nails the aesthetic of Philadelphia. You left out that part that it does take place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
It does.
And I feel like as I'm watching it, that they're walking the same streets that you walk on a daily basis. The neighborhoods are exactly, there's spots that I recognize. I'm like, oh, that's where Ron took me for breakfast. That's where Ron and I went for the first AA meeting that we went to together. It is like walking the streets that I have been so many times with you and your lovely bride. That I think that's one thing that really kind of aids in my connection to that show.
Interesting. So you think it looks a lot like Elkins Park is what you're saying?
Oh my God! From what I read, most of it is shot inside of Elkins Park. I believe they were unable to film in the neighborhood where Bill Cosby's house is, but from what I read, they were given free reign of Elkins Park by the rest of the town council.
Well, have you started watching Long Bright River on Peacock yet?
No idea what that is.
So that is so it stars Amanda Seyfried. So it's a cop story. It's American crime drama, and it's based in Philadelphia, Kensington primarily. And
really,
knowing your fascination with Kensington, I'm surprised you haven't checked this out.
Closer to your home. No, I've not, but I can check it out.
I wasn't thrilled with the first episode. I might try and get back into it, but I'm sure anything that portrays Philadelphia in a bad light, you will get behind.
Listen, it doesn't take a lot of effort for me to find something that paints Philadelphia in a bad light. You guys do it yourself quite naturally.
Name something.
Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, where it's just about a lawyer minding his own business, getting AIDS, and then being discriminated against by his employer to the point where he gets so stressed out that he gets full-blown AIDS and dies. I mean, that I think painted Philadelphia in a bad light. Rocky, the very fact that the entire city decided that they were going to get behind a fictitious character and put a sign up, a genuine statue for a fictitious character. It never gets, what is it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
Every character is garbage there. There's not one redeeming character. It's funny, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't sit there and say that it paints Philadelphia in a positive light. Here, even William, Philadelphia, where people park their cars in the middle of the road and police ignore it.
Very true.
People, I could keep going.
When we got out of the Tosh show last night, we had to cross the street to be on the right side for when the Uber picked us up. And now there's like a new smoke shop on that corner, and like we're like standing there on the sidewalk, and a woman literally just pulls her Jeep up on the sidewalk, parks on the sidewalk, and walks into the smoke shop. Then she gets out, cuts across 4 lanes of traffic, and shoots down the opposite way. It's like, I respect that. I respect that a lot.
Ron, I'm not making this up. Philly is garbage.
Let's see. Can we get? Let's try and get a couple of stories in. Let's go to New Jersey again. Let's go to Middletown, New Jersey, Brian, where there appears to be a pasta battle brewing in the Lincroft Plaza strip mall. So there was a restaurant there open called Luigi's Famous Pizza. And a breakfast and lunch spot opened up called Tatum's Table. And apparently Tatum's Table has started to add some pasta dishes to their dinner menu. And apparently the proposed dinner menu from Tatum's Table contains some Italian dishes that Luigi's claims to have exclusive rights to sell under the terms of its lease, which has now caused an all-out social media war between the two restaurants. Yes. The owners said that they have talked to the landlord, who told the father of the woman who runs Tatum's Tailor that he would not give Tatum's Table permission to open for dinner if the Italian items were not removed from the menu.
So they have an exclusivity deal with the neighborhood that they're the only ones that can sell Italian food?
So Tatum's Table's lease specifies that it can only open for breakfast and lunch. So now it wants to open for dinner. But apparently Luigi's is saying that they have exclusive rights in their lease to serve certain Italian dishes in the strip mall. Which I will say I have seen that that verbiage included in certain leases from time to time.
Is that when you were running your Quiznos franchise?
It was not, no. Now, Dave Portnoy, El Presidente, gave Luigi's Pizza a score of 8.1 out of 10.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Pretty high. Do you think this helps or hurts each restaurant? It seems kind of, I don't know, petty for me.
I think that it hurts because I think ultimately what you're looking at here is you should be able to stand behind your food and say, you can sell whatever you want. I sell something better. And that's where people are going to go. To sit there and be like, no, don't sell it. You're threatening me. It just kind of feels, it smacks of inadequacy.
Is it a bitch move? Would you call it that?
Feels like a bitch move.
All right, good to hear. Follow up from a story we did a few weeks back. We had reported on the first death because of measles in the United States in a number of years in Texas. And the Texas parents whose 6-year-old unvaccinated daughter died from measles say they have no regrets for not vaccinating their child. Here is a photo of the Mennonite couple. They are, again, from the Mennonite community in Gaines County. They spoke in both English and Low German. All right.
Low German?
During an interview with the Children's Health Defense, a nonprofit group chaired by anti-vaxxer RFK Jr. from 2015 to 2023. The child who died was one of 4 siblings who also contracted the contagious respiratory disease, but recovered after being given cough medicine, which for some reason the 6-year-old did not receive. They did say that despite the death of their child, it has not changed their opinion on vaccines.
Okay. That's good. Let's hopefully they're. Do they have any other kids they possibly can die premature death?
They've got 3. And the mother said that, quote, the measles weren't as bad as the press is making them out to be.
They killed their kid.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay.
Well, that was another, going back to what you're watching, that was kind of part of the storyline. I think we've talked about the pit on Max.
Yeah.
So we watched the final episode. Excellent show. I would highly recommend it if you're not watching it. But there is also a scene in there where a 13-year-old boy is brought in and he's got measles and he is potentially facing brain damage. But his mother, who is using Google on her phone, doesn't want them to treat her because, the treatment could harm him.
Right. Which makes sense. Total sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Let the kids listen. If the kids aren't strong enough without vaccinations, then maybe they just aren't meant to be around.
Wait, the pit isn't over yet? We've got one more episode? I thought it was over. All right, good. One more episode to go. I like that even better.
Okay.
Brian,
what else?
I don't know that we have much else. It's been a week. It's been a few weeks, but now we're back. We're going to do an After Dark tonight, which if you are not part of our Patreon, please go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner. For as little as $10 a month, you can sit in on the live After Dark, which will be taking place tonight at 9:30, about 24 minutes from now. Brian, what can people expect on tonight's After Dark episode?
Listen, we've got stories about OnlyFans. We have stories about many fans. We have stories about
many fans, Jerry.
We have stories about sexual positions and that are being ranked. More stories about OnlyFans. And if you thought we could go an episode without Bonnie Blue, you're dead wrong.
Sorry. Gotta have Bonnie on there.
Gotta have Bonnie Blue. Brian. I mean, Lily Phillips, so last year.
Anything else?
This is good. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. It's good to have you back, my friend. So Patreon folks, we will see you shortly. Everybody else, we will see you next Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.